how to knit this dimensional, reversible herringbone rib pattern on knitting needles. The pattern repeat is a multiple of 2 plus 1 symmetry stitch and 2 edge stitches. I am casting on an odd number of stitches. Currently, I have 21 stitches on my needle. Now, let's move on to the first setup row. There will be 2 setup rows in this pattern. Let me remind you that the setup rows are not part of the pattern repeat. So for the first setup row, slip the first edge stitch unworked, and then work as follows. Knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. In short, work in a standard 1x1 rib to the end of the row. I work the classic purl stitch, also known as the Western Continental method. This is a very important detail. At the end of the row, work the symmetry stitch as a knit, and knit the final edge stitch as well. That was the first setup row. The next row is the second setup row, which is also not included in the pattern repeat. Here is how we work the second setup row. Slip the first edge stitch unworked. The next stitch according to the pattern is a purl stitch, so I purl it. Next in the pattern is a knit stitch. Watch carefully here. I insert my right needle to lift the stitch from the row below, place it on the left needle, and then knit this lifted loop. Then I slip the current knit stitch knitwise. This is also important. See how these 2 stitches are positioned so they face each other? This is exactly what we need, as this is the effect that creates the herringbone pattern. Purl the next stitch. Again, lift the loop from the row below, place it on the left needle, knit it, and slip the current stitch knitwise, unworked. Purl the next stitch. Once again, knit the loop from the row below, slip the current stitch unworked, and purl the next stitch. Again, lift the loop from the row below, knit it, slip the current stitch knitwise unworked, and purl the next stitch. Repeat this alternation to the end of the row. Lift and knit from the row below, slip the next stitch, and purl the next. Lift and knit from the row below, slip the stitch, purl. Lift and knit from the row below, slip the stitch, purl. Again, lift and knit from the row below, slip the stitch, purl. And again, lift and knit from the row below, slip the stitch, purl. Knit the final edge stitch. That was the second setup row. Now let's move on to the repeat row. Since we are making a reversible ribbing, we have only one pattern repeat row. It will be repeated on both the right side and the wrong side. Here is how we work the repeat row. Slip the first stitch. This is our edge stitch. I slip it unworked. Next are the knit stitches. Again, I lift the loop from the row below, place it on the left needle, knit it, and slip the current stitch knitwise. Next are 2 stitches, the slipped stitch from the previous row and the stitch worked from the row below. We need to purl these 2 stitches together. Watch closely. I insert my needle into the stitches from right to left and work a classic continental purl 2 together. Again, lift the loop from the row below, place it on the left needle, knit it, and slip the current knit stitch unworked. then purl 2 together. Once again, lift the loop from the row below, place it on the left needle, knit it, slip the current knit stitch, and purl 2 together. Again, lift the loop from the row below, place it on the left needle, knit it, slip the current knit stitch, and purl 2 together. Continue working this way, repeating these movements to the end of the row. I have reached the end of the row. There is one symmetry stitch left, following the pattern. I lift the loop from the row below, knit it, slip the current knit stitch unworked, and knit the final edge stitch. And then simply repeat this row over and over. But note that because we are working with symmetry stitches, the next row will follow the exact same repeat, but it will begin with a purl 2 together. Next row, slip the edge stitch, purl 2 together, then lift the loop from the row below. Notice how it is now twisted? It will be much easier to lift and work this twisted loop from the row below. I lift it, place it on the left needle, knit it, slip the current knit stitch unworked, and purl 2 together. Again, place the loop on the left needle, knit it, and slip the current knit stitch. Then purl 2 together. Again, lift the loop from the row below, place it on the left needle, knit it, slip the current knit stitch, and purl 2 together. Lift the loop from the row below, place it on the left needle, knit it, slip the current knit stitch, and purl 2 together. This creates the herringbone pattern on this side and on the wrong side as well. Work this way to the end of the row. At the end of the row, as always, we have the symmetry stitch and the edge stitch. Purl the 2 symmetry stitches together. Knit the edge stitch. That was the second row of the repeat. In fact, we are just repeating these 2 rows, row 1 and row 2, which differ only in the stitch we start with, either a knit stitch from the row below or a purl 2 together. A few quick tips for knitting this pattern. First, use needles that are slightly larger than what is recommended for your yarn. If you want to avoid a stiff, overly dense fabric, a slightly larger needle size works best. For instance, I am using size 5mm needles with a relatively thin yarn. Second, the more you knit, the easier it becomes to lift that loop from the row below. Here is how it looks in the established rows. Further up, in the middle of the fabric. See how large it is and how easy it is to catch with the right needle, place on the left, and knit? There is no need to strain your eyes looking for that lower loop. It is very clearly visible. It is twisted, and this twisted structure is achieved because we slip the current knit stitch knitwise. You see how they face each other? It twists, and in the next row, when we work them together as a purl 2 together, they form the herringbone look. I hope my tips are helpful. Here is the small swatch I worked. It is a completely reversible, fluffy ribbing. And here is a larger swatch using the same yarn, but in a variegated, self-striping colorway. One side and the other side. I think this pattern stands out beautifully with self-striping yarn. Look at how the herringbone stitches transition through the colors. And look, I'm sure someone will ask how to knit. If anyone tells you that this pattern cannot be knitted in the round, and believe me, many will, just send them to me. I have videos for everything. How to knit this pattern in the round, how to knit a herringbone stockinette stitch, how to knit a herringbone scarf, how to bind off, and how to cast on beautifully. It is best to use a tubular cast on and a tubular bind off here. I have a scarf tutorial where I show all of this. I also have a video for a 2x2 herringbone rib with several interesting secrets. Please like, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for writing comments, asking questions, and subscribing. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.